What is going on, ADA and Crypto Nation? Welcome to Dapp Central. My name is Fareed. Today, we're going to be talking about the amazing altcoin rally that is still underway, with Cardano leading the pack with over 17% in terms of price appreciation just alone in the last 24 hours. Now, it hasn't just been Cardano. We've also seen Bitcoin. We've also seen Ethereum as well on a run as of late. So I want to jump into all of the major large cap tokens, but I also want to jump into just some brief updates surrounding what is going on specifically within Cardano. As always, if you guys do enjoy this type of content, I would really appreciate you guys if you guys could tap that like button. If it's your first time stopping by Dapp Central and you want more content like this, consider subscribing. And last but not least, if you have any questions or just want to engage, make sure to go ahead and drop a comment in the chat. And if you're watching this on the replay, make sure to go ahead and just leave a comment down below. So let's just go ahead and just jump right on into the charts here. We've got Bitcoin, which has just kind of been trading sideways over the course of the past couple of days. We've seen the Bitcoin dominance actually beginning to wane, and we're now starting to see a lot of liquidity flowing from Bitcoin over into some of the large cap tokens, which include Ethereum. That had a huge pump yesterday. And then we'll also see a lot of liquidity and a lot of price action moving towards Cardano, Solana, Avalanche, and Matic, just to name a few. Now, I'll kind of just start with Bitcoin first off, but over the course of just the past couple of days, we've seen a lot of really big moves coming in from Bitcoin. I think the biggest was just the break past 38,000. So a lot of content creators, a lot of technical analysts were really thinking that we were going to get that big pullback back at 38. And we just continued to grind up into the right. We finally broke into that, or broke out of that range, I should say, around the beginning of December. And since then, we've been climbing slowly and steadily. So we finally broke through 38,000. We broke through 42,000, a little bit quicker than I think a lot of people anticipated. And we're now kind of hovering right now as I speak at 43,500. Now, the all-time high that we did hit for this year was at about 44,400, excuse me. And we've just kind of dropped a little bit below since then. So if I zoom in into the 15-minute here, you'll see that again, here was where we set the all-time high at right about 44,400. And then since then, we've just really just kind of trailed down a little bit. Now, if I jump over into the Bitcoin dominance very quickly here, I do want to just quickly highlight that, as you guys can see here, the Bitcoin dominance does appear to be fading after this latest rally. So leading into the rally, as always, Bitcoin is usually the one leading the pack, right? And so as we saw here, all the way up until, let's see here, December 5th of 2023, Bitcoin was really pushing up in terms of dominance. Again, since then, we've seen the Bitcoin dominance falling below. And so as we get the Bitcoin dominance kind of trending downwards, what we tend to see is that a lot of liquidity flows out from Bitcoin and then over into some of the major large coin altcoins, or the large cap tokens, I should say, including Ethereum, ADA, Solana, etc. And so I want to just jump into that here. So if we take a look at, let's see here, Ethereum's dominance, it has started to trend upwards. Now, if I zoom out here, because again, I am on the 15-minute, which is a pretty low time frame or pretty tight time frame. If I zoom out here on the daily, we're still a long ways away from Ethereum really kind of overtaking Bitcoin, right? So I'm not necessarily saying that this is going to last, but I definitely do think that what we're seeing right now is a direct result of the falling Bitcoin dominance. So if we jump into ADA here, we've also got Cardano up right now as it stands, up 16%. Now, we saw a huge rally here, which took place about 12 hours ago, with Cardano now going parabolic. So let me jump into the chat here in just a couple of seconds. I see that there's just so many people tuning in. I definitely do appreciate you guys all tuning in here. Because I am streaming by myself, I want to focus first and foremost on the actual content, and then we'll jump into the comments. Usually when I have somebody else with me, I can kind of, jump into the comments here as they're speaking or introducing themselves. But again, today I'm doing this solo and really just doing this on the road. So I'm not at my normal location. And if you guys definitely do appreciate the hustle and just the time and effort going into these streams and the content, again, definitely make sure to go ahead and hit that thumbs up. It really does make a difference here on the channel. So the parabolic rise of Cardano, again, we were really facing a ton of resistance around this 40-cent range. If I zoom back out a little bit, when Bitcoin initially broke out of that $30,000 range, right? And it pushed all the way up until $38,000. What we saw was Cardano basically moving to the top of its channel where we had bottomed out at about 24 cents. Now, that particular move took about a month and a half. And again, we hit that really big piece of resistance around that 40-cent range. Now, we were really just consolidating over the past month. So throughout the entire month of November, as you guys can see, we're just kind of just consolidating all the way through. And then we finally got this breakthrough here at the very beginning of December, where we broke through that big piece of resistance. Now, as you guys may or may not be aware, typically when you break through resistance, there's usually some sort of back test and then some sort of continuation. Now, what we really needed was for Bitcoin to basically hold up, right? And Bitcoin did hold up. And so what we began to see was a altcoin rally. Again, we're now starting to see Cardano really waking up. And this has just been so huge for myself, right? Really seeing the power that Cardano has. A lot of times we get people saying that Cardano isn't doing anything, that Cardano's a ghost chain, and that there's just nothing being built here on Cardano. And I think that this is just an exact reflection of just the community sentiment, but exactly what we have going on here in this ecosystem as well. Now, price action is not the end all be all. Of course, this channel typically focuses on, the fundamentals as well as the technology, but I couldn't skip this opportunity to chat about what we've seen here, given the fact that over the last 2 years, we haven't had any increase in price action. Again, we've been trading in that bottom range, and we've finally broken out of this channel. And if I zoom out just a little bit here, you will notice that, let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of zoom this back a little bit. I'm going to go on the daily. And if I zoom in here, we had set an all-time high. There it is, if you guys can see right here. And this was at about 45 cents. Now, this was back in April of 2023. So about eight or 9 months ago. And again, since then, we've now broken into this new high. So Cardano now making an all-time high for the year of 2023. So really, really positive news. And I think a really good piece of information when it comes to us confirming that we're finally out of the bear market. And so what I want to do is just jump into some of the news here going on within the Cardano ecosystem, and then just really just breaking down and just enjoying some of this goodness here with you guys. So let's go ahead and just take a couple of comments here. I see we've got Crypto Casper. Casper, thank you for tuning in. I definitely do appreciate you. We've got Blue Cheese. We've got Lord. We got Vikram. We've got Keith. Thank you for tuning in. We've got Dizzle. Dizzle, what is going on, my man? I hope you're doing all right, man. We've got James tuning in. We've got Ed. And yeah, just Dizzle again. Thank you for, getting the word out there. Again, the likes definitely do help here when it comes to pushing out this content. Now, let's go ahead and just maybe just talk about Cardano. So the first thing I really want to highlight is the fact that TVL has officially set an all-time high. Now, I want to compare this to other networks to show you guys something that is really, really interesting. So I'm on DeFi Llama right now. And as you guys can see, we had set an all-time high in terms of TVL right as the bear market was finally starting. So this was just around, let's see here, April of 2022. So it's crazy to think how quickly time has flown. It's been literally a year and maybe a little bit over half now since we set this all-time high. And this was at $323 million US. As of today, with the recent price pump in terms of US value, Cardano's TVL stands, let me see here, if I scroll up just a little bit, right here, at $343 million US. So TVL has officially set an all-time high. Now, if we take a look at this using ADA, it's also going to be setting some new all-time highs with a ton of TVL, or a ton of ADA, I should say, being locked on the network. So as you guys can see there, either way that you slice this, we're setting brand new all-time highs. Again, with this ghost chain narrative, I'm looking at the TVL and I'm just like, what ghost chain? Now, granted, when we do compare this TVL to other networks, it is relatively low in the sense that Cardano doesn't have billions just yet. But I also want to note that when it comes to counting TVL, it appears to be done differently, where Cardano's liquid staking isn't taken into effect here on DeFi Llama. If you guys take that into consideration, I think that there's over a couple of billion ADA, which are currently staked to over 3,000 stake pool operators on the network. And if we're to count that, that would definitely put us, I think, among some of the top networks in terms of TVL. So just one thing I wanted to highlight there, the USD value in terms of TVL is at an all-time high. And then in terms of just the old-fashioned ADA being locked on the network, that has also hit an all-time high. Now, if I compare that, let's say to Ethereum, let's see here what they've got going on. As you guys can see here, in terms of their USD value, they are nowhere near an all-time high. Now, granted, their TVL at the all-time high back, or excuse me, at the beginning of the, excuse me, at the top of the market, I should say, back in 2021, was sitting at about 106 billion. Right now, their TVL sits at just around 26 billion, which again is still a lot more than Cardano. But if Cardano were to have that liquid staking being counted, I definitely think that that would give us a huge bump up. Let's take a look at a couple more chains here. We've got Solana, and Solana's actually been seeing a ton of increases within their price. They've actually been one of the fastest moving cryptos that I've noticed here within the space. Obviously, today that's not the case, but over the course of just past month or two, Solana has definitely been the market leader. I think doing a almost a 4x in the same amount of time that Cardano has officially now done a 2x. So interesting to note there that even with the sentiment surrounding Solana. Of course, we just saw Sam Bankman-Fried being convicted, right, or found guilty. He hasn't been sentenced just yet. That's going to be happening in March, similar to around the same time that CZ from Binance is also going to be undergoing his court date. But his what is the word here? What is the word that I'm looking for? His sentencing. There it is. So Sam Bankman-Fried as well as CZ being sentenced around the same time, actually right before the Bitcoin halving. So that'll really be interesting to see if that has any sort of negative price impact, on the entire blockchain space. Of course, with Bitcoin and the halving, we are definitely expecting a dump in at least my eyes. I think that given the fact that we've seen this huge run within Bitcoin, gaining over 60%, that we are due for a correction or a pullback. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that the pullback or the correction is going to last, 4 or 5 months like we did or like we had back in the bear. I think that the macro cycle or the macro picture is still that we're bullish and that we're moving up and to the right. And so that said, if we take a look here at the TVL for Solana, again, very similar to Ethereum. If we take a look at what we had here back on November 9th of 2021, right around the time that the bull market was peaking, their TVL was at about $10 billion. That has now fallen and it's now reclimbing. But as you guys can see there, nothing compared to what we have there with Cardano's TVL. Now, right now, their TVL stands at, let's see here, 853 million. So Cardano has a third of that, which is actually really interesting, right? That Cardano is actually not that far behind in terms of TVL compared to Solana. So if we continue to see Cardano kind of outpacing some of these other cryptos, I definitely think that in terms of TVL, when we're looking at the USD value, that we could potentially flip platforms, for example, like Solana. So let's see here. Let's take a look at one or two more here, and then we're going to jump into some Cardano news pieces. In terms of Polygon, their TVL currently sits at 890 million. Again, when we take a look at just the overall trend, they are nowhere near setting an all-time high, which was around $7.7 billion US back at the peak of the last bull market. So I wanted to just kick things off with that there. I think it's really important for us to take a note there that, we're seeing a trend here within Cardano that we're not seeing within any other network, and that is just major growth and major adoption. One other thing that I do also want to quickly highlight is going to be the number of smart contracts being deployed on the network. So let me see if I can go and just find this real quick for you guys. But I want to highlight just the amount of smart contracts being deployed on Cardano. When I first came in, I think we had around 3,000 smart contracts, and all of those were Plutus V1. Now, around the September timeline of 2022 is when we saw the Vassal hard fork take place, and we saw a lot of upgrades and functionality being brought on for developers and smart contracts. And so let's see here. If I jump into the smart contracts, these are going to be the smart contracts deployed per day. Now, this is just for the last 30 days, but let's take a look at this here for, if we can do the last year. Let's just take a look at this year, actually. So I'll go ahead and just apply this. And as you guys can see there, we are getting a ton of Plutus smart contracts coming online. Now, this blue line here is going to represent the V1, which I mentioned was before the Vassal hard fork, right? So we had around 4,000 at the beginning of this year for the V1. and we're now at just about, let's see here, 6,000. So around 2,000 smart contracts coming online for V1. And then if we take a look at when we had V2 being counted here on this insights, because again, the Vassal hard fork did kick off back in 2022 around the September timeline, but we're not seeing that counted here. We have, let's see, 2,000 beginning around May, and we're now sitting at just about 5,000. So we've seen almost a 2x in terms of the Plutus V2 scripts being brought onto the network. Now, some of the biggest platforms that I've definitely seen, including some of these smart contracts, include MinSwap. They've had a lot of upgrades leveraging V2. We're also now seeing Indigo, which is actually having a voting proposal utilizing their DAO right now to vote for the launch of their protocol V2, which will be taking advantage of Icon, as well as, I believe, the upgrades that were released as a part of the Vassal hard fork. So we're beginning to really see some of these top dogs within Cardano leveraging these Plutus scripts. And again, I think that this is just the very beginning. Now, because V1 has kind of been outdone or replaced by V2, I don't necessarily think that we're going to continue to see, explosive growth from that blue line. Now, what we would really want to see is this red line beginning to kind of just overtake and potentially cross and kind of form like an X here, right? And basically surpass the amount of Plutus V1 scripts that we have moving forward. So I wanted to just quickly highlight that there. If we jump into the recent transactions here, let's see here. We'll take a look at the transactions per day. And again, we're going to take a look here for over the last year to see if we can see any trends here. There we go. And right now, we are starting to see somewhat of an uptick in terms of active addresses. So give me just a second. Let me zoom in here. All right, hopefully you guys can see that. In terms of the total number of transactions, when we kicked off this year, we had 58 million. Right now, that value sits at 80 million. So we've had more than 30 million transactions taking place in this year alone. In terms of, let's see here, the 24-hour active addresses. So we definitely did have a lot more active addresses beginning at the beginning of this year. That had a peak around the time where we had the meme coin run. So let me know what you guys think down below. Were you guys here when we had the meme coin run in Cardano? That was when SNEC was running. We also did have DeFi protocols, for example, like LandFi and MuesliSwap that were also running around that time. And as you guys can see here, we did have a pretty big uptick in terms of active addresses around that time, with a peak at around 104,000 active addresses in a 24-hour period. Again, we did see this kind of drop back off as people just kind of lost interest. But if we take a look at the last 30 days or just towards the end here, we are starting to see a slight uptick here in terms of active addresses. So one thing that I definitely want to go ahead and just keep an eye on moving forward, especially after the recent price action that we've seen within Cardano, I think that a lot of more people are going to be looking to see, what is going on here and everything that we have going on within the ecosystem. So I wanted to kick those off there, or at least bring those to your attention. Next, let's jump back over into DeFi Llama. And we're going to take a look at Cardano again here. And let's see here. What I want to do is just quickly highlight some of the biggest protocols. And then we're going to jump into Tab Tools to take a look at some of the projects that have been doing really, really well there as well. So first and foremost, we've got Indigo. I mentioned that the fact that they have their V2 vote ongoing. Again, right behind them, we've got MinSwap, and then we've got LQ. What's interesting, and I mentioned this in one of my prior videos, is that the lead between Indigo and MinSwap is beginning to grow. Now, with staking, which is now being counted as a part of Indigo's TVL, I think that has made a huge difference. And then with MinSwap, I'm not really sure that they've got a lot going on right now, but if you guys missed it, they do have their V2, which is going to be coming along really, really soon. So with V2, we can expect a ton of new features. I did cover that in a separate video. And then we're also going to be expecting MinSwap Pro. So think of this, for example, as a trading platform, for example, like Axo, right? So Axo has really, I think, kind of set the bar in terms of what we should expect from a trading experience or from a trading platform. And I think that the MinSwap team has kind of noticed that, which is, I think, why they're kind of veering over towards providing a pro platform. Very similarly, we are starting to see the Wing Riders platform as well, introducing an advanced platform. So I think that, the days of, just the old-fashioned Uniswap select one token, swap it for another, are going to be gone. And that moving forward, that we're really going to begin to see a lot more tooling and a lot more emphasis on providing quality platforms, and platforms that are going to be built for high-end traders or for professional traders. I mentioned this in one of my other videos as well. We've got the I think it's the MuesliSwap platform, which is going to be launching perpetuals, right? So that's going to be coming. And then we've also got the Dex Hunter team, which has a proposal out for perpetuals as well. So a lot of really interesting tools, a lot of new features coming onto Cardano. And then we also even had SundaySwap, which is now also proposing to add margin or leverage trading as well. So for example, if you trade on a centralized exchange and you put down $1,000, but you want to trade with a little bit more, you can use leverage. And we're going to begin to see something like that coming onto DEXs, I think potentially with SundaySwap kicking that particular type of feature off. So again, a ton of new features coming online. In terms of Liquid, we have seen some new assets being added onto the platform. I think the most recent one was the addition of the World Mobile Token. We did also see the integration of a couple of new stablecoins as well. I believe USDT and USDC were integrated into the platform, and those are going to be bridge versions of those assets coming in from OneChain. Now, I recently did sit down with Tam Louis, who is going to be, I believe, their VP of Marketing at the Dubai Summit, and he really broke down a lot of what they're doing, and just the fact that, the stablecoin community, or the stablecoin, I should say, ecosystem within Cardano could definitely use a lot of help. And that is exactly why they're moving into this space. So I wanted to just quickly highlight that there as well. We do have MuesliSwap kind of gaining in a little bit here in terms of Jet. So we could potentially see MuesliSwap flipping over Jet. We've got A-Starter, a DEX. We've got Vi Finance, which recently rebranded their entire platform. So this team definitely does listen to their community. We saw, some feedback coming in to Stephen Ward and the rest of the gang that, hey, we maybe just want to update, or we want a more user-friendly platform visually, right? Again, I think from a smart contract standpoint and just functionality, it was doing everything that they expected. But from a visual standpoint, they wanted something a little bit more modern. So we did see the Vi Finance team actually rebrand their entire platform, and that was released a couple of days ago. Let's jump into the comments here. I do see some super chats coming in here. I want to go ahead and just say MK from NJ. Thank you so much there for the $10 super chat. I definitely do appreciate that a lot. Let's see here. We also got Crypto Casper. Casper, thank you so much there for the $10 Canadian. You've been one of the biggest supporters here on the channel. Every time that I post a video, Casper is, I think, number one. Sometimes even, responding and posting comments, within the first 15 to 20 seconds after I post a video. So Casper, I definitely do appreciate the super chat here. It does mean a lot. We've got Bimer House here in joining here the chat. What is going on there? Good morning. Let's see here. We've got David asking some questions about endcoins. Maybe we can, kind of just put that into the side for now, and we can jump to that once we get to the Q&A. We've got somebody tuning in here from Indonesia, Santoso. Good morning, or good night, I should say. It's morning where I'm shooting right now. Let's see here. We've got Dizzle chatting about the Vesper wallet. I just released a video about the Vesper wallet not too long ago. I definitely do agree. They are definitely one of the best wallets. You have the ability to send and receive assets. You also have the ability now to on-ramp, right? So if you want to purchase ADA directly from within the wallet, you can go ahead and do that utilizing the Vesper wallet. They've got support for credit cards, debit cards, and I believe even something such as Apple Pay, right? So if you don't want to go through Coinbase, if you don't want to go through Binance, you can now go ahead and utilize the fiat on-ramp coming in as a part of the Vesper wallet. I mentioned this in my video as well. I think the fact that they're only focusing on mobile has been what has given them the room to run. A lot of other wallets focus on both mobile or on just an extension or a web-based approach first. But the Vesper wallet is only available on mobile, which again, I think has really been an advantage for them. On top of that, you also have the ability to send and receive NFTs. You can view and rearrange your NFTs within the wallet. And then you can also delegate or stake to a stake pool directly from mobile as well. Now, last but not least, they do have a dApp store. If you guys are not familiar with that, if you want to maybe go ahead and connect to a platform like JPEG.store or even Indigo or Liquid, whatever the case is, right? If you're on the go and you want to go ahead and just, participate in Cardano or just the ecosystem, you can utilize their dApp store and quickly connect utilizing the Vesper wallet. So if you guys have not already checked out the Vesper wallet, I would definitely say make sure go ahead and do that. They are definitely one of the ones that I will be using moving forward, especially when I'm not able to be at my computer, in order to make sure that I'm not missing any of the action taking place within Cardano. We've got WeWorld asking, why is the Cardano TVL rising? So I just mentioned this. We have Cardano pumping. Let's see here. Right now, it is at 15%. If I pull this back up here for you guys, this literally happened overnight. So it's just crazy the fact that crypto and Cardano, just continue to run 24/7 as opposed to the regular stock market. But as it stands right now, we saw a huge, huge candle coming in for Cardano. And as you guys can see here, I mean, no other crypto coming in near close to the amount of gains that we've had here. And so I mentioned this earlier, Solana has had a ton of gains early on here when we saw Bitcoin breaking through that $30,000 resistance. It's been cooling off a little bit and now seems to be kind of picking back up a little bit. We did also see Avalanche just really slowly and steadily moving up, and it's kind of been consolidating here in this last range. But we saw Cardano lagging behind for a bit, and people continue to ask, what is going on with Cardano? Why does it seem like Cardano never moves? And Cardano has officially moved, and it's now again doubling everything that everybody else has done. So let me just kind of put this mic down, and I want to quickly just show you guys here. If I just highlight, let me zoom in a little bit from the bear market low all the way to where we currently sit, that is a 117% gain there, right? So really showing the power of Cardano. But then also, if you've been here throughout the entire bear market, right, this is exactly why you want to go ahead and DCA. When you're not DCAing and you're FOMOing in, like right now, which I definitely would not recommend, you will definitely be hurt if there's any sort of pullback, right? So I know that it's really hard to do. And even for myself included, when the price was down, it felt like we're just kind of pouring money into a black hole. But when we get these big moves over the course of 2 months where the price goes from, 24 cents all the way up to 52 cents, right? It feels like it happens overnight. Like think about it. Like we were trading at 24 cents and there was little to no engagement. People didn't want to pick up Cardano. But now that it's pumping at over, 52 cents, we're going to actually start to see more people asking, about how they can get their hands on Cardano, which is kind of backwards, right? And so that is kind of like the thing that I've learned is this is all an emotional kind of thing. And yeah, it's a little bit hard to pick up when the price is down, but this is exactly why you need to pick up when the price is down is for days like this, when you get these pumps that nobody is expecting. I saw the breakout earlier yesterday where Cardano had just broken into 46 or 47 cents. I went to sleep, woke up, and saw this trading at 52 cents. The crazy thing is that it continues to still pump. And again, we are starting to see some of these other altcoins waking up as well. So wanted to quickly touch on that there. WeWorld, the reason why the TVL is currently up on Cardano is because we're seeing the value of the the value of the ADA token itself also raising in terms of USD. So if I take a look here, there we go. We're currently looking at it in USD. We did set an all-time high, and I touched on this earlier at the beginning of the stream. And even when we're looking at it in ADA, right, for people that might say, well, everybody else's USD value is pumping too, show me something else. Well, even when we're just looking at it in ADA value, we set another all-time high. And so this is just crazy. Like since the beginning of 2023, Cardano's really been doing numbers, no pun intended, with today being one of those biggest days. Okay, let's see. Let's go take a couple more comments. We got MK saying to keep up the great work. You're my first choice when getting Cardano news. I definitely do appreciate it. I try my best to, provide you guys with timely news as quickly as possible. I saw and actually made a post earlier today about the price action, and somebody, said, I'm really surprised that nobody's going live. And so I said, you know what, let me take the opportunity. Let me go live. And again, hopefully you guys are enjoying today's content. If you are, make sure to drop that thumbs up and make sure to go ahead and share this content with anybody else that you might think might find value in this. We've got another comment here coming in from Santoso, CGI and Hunt Rocketing. We are going to jump into the Cardano ecosystem tokens here in just a minute. I definitely do think that both of those are doing extremely well. CGI came out of nowhere. For anybody who's not aware of what CGI is going to be the governance token for the AI platform. I believe it's called Cardano GPT. So I believe they've got like a language learning model, and it takes in a ton of Cardano based information. And they've even got a bot on Twitter as well that responds to comments and just engages with community members as well. And so I do need to go ahead and just do a little bit more due diligence surrounding that particular project before I release my dedicated video. I did have Frank, who I believe is a member of their Discord, on my last live stream, asking me to cover that particular project as well. So I will go ahead and provide more content surrounding CGI or the Cardano GPT project. Hunt, for anybody who's not aware, is going to be DEX Center's governance token, and they're going to be a DEX aggregator building on Cardano. And I mentioned earlier that they are aiming to bring on perpetuals in the near future as part of a Project Catalyst proposal. Okay, let's see here. We've got Mad Bull in the house, huge supporter here of the channel. I do appreciate you tuning in. We've got David. Thank you for joining us. We have PCN Performance. What's up, Fareed? Good morning. Good to see you dropping this knowledge and awareness super early. I'm trying my best. I hope you guys are definitely enjoying it. PC, good to see you as well. Thug Nasty in the house. What up, fam? We've got Didi as well. And then we've got Vidimon. Yeah, update on the NTX token. So I don't have any updates right now. Guys, my backlog is just continuing to grow, especially over the course like the past couple of months. It's been like a lot to really try to catch up and just keep up with everything going on in the ecosystem. Within the, DEX space, oracles, DeFi, there's just so much going on here. But I'll try to get a video out, Vidimon here for you as well. All right, a lot of people tuning in here. I really do appreciate you guys. Let's keep the show rolling, and then we'll jump back in and take a couple of comments here. All right, so let's jump into Tap Tools next and take a look at some of the ADA tokens and exactly how they're doing. So before we jump into here, right, for anybody who isn't aware, I mean, this is technically my first cycle that I'm catching from the very beginning. Let me know down in the comment section below if you're, catching your very first cycle from the beginning. I think a lot of people came in at the top from the last cycle. That's actually when I decided to become a content creator. But before that, I was really just kind of like a spectator looking on the sideline. And I also didn't have the capital to really dive into the space like I really wanted to this particular go around. So let me know what you guys are down below. Is this your first cycle, second cycle, third cycle? I did see some tweets about, some people coming in for their third cycle in Cardano, their second cycle in Cardano, but the third cycle in crypto overall, which I think is a really huge opportunity. Now, just generally speaking, what we have is Bitcoin leading the way, and this kind of touches back on what I mentioned earlier, right, with Bitcoin leading in terms of dominance. As soon as we see a decrease or a drop off in Bitcoin dominance, we tend to see that liquidity flowing into Ethereum, which we did see Ethereum get a huge pump yesterday, breaking out of a key major level of resistance. And I think we're probably going to be backtesting that in the next couple of days. Now, after that, though, what we're going to see is, liquidity flowing into Cardano, but then also flowing into ecosystem tokens. So right now is an opportune time to get positioned within some of these assets. Now, I have to preface this, right? This is not financial advice. My thing is during the actual bull market, because I think this is just the very early stages. Once we begin to go parabolic after the halving, we're not going to have any time for sanity. And what I mean by that is we're going to start to see tokens pumping left and right, and people are not going to have the time to look at fundamentals, right? People are just going to be buying whatever the latest, hottest thing is. So right now is the time that you have to take to educate yourself, right? Understand these Cardano native tokens, exactly what they do, but then also begin to, get into your positions. We've already seen a lot of these tokens beginning to pump over the past couple of weeks. So let's just take a look at some of those top gainers here. So let's see here. We have coming in, let's see. Now, some of these do have little to no liquidity, so I don't necessarily want to highlight those. Let's see here. We've got the Gens X token. So for anybody who's not aware, the Genius Yield team, which actually just released their testnet, is going to be a order book style DEX, but their sister project developed by the same exact team is going to be Gens X. So Gens X is an accelerator program, and they're actually aiming to be blockchain agnostic. So not only have they onboarded a ton of projects within Cardano already, they're also looking outside of Cardano in order to provide their services, which include guidance in terms of legal, guidance in terms of tokenomics, but then they're also a launchpad platform, which actually has the ability to conduct sales for tokens. So we saw the sale for the Gens token being completed utilizing the Genius X platform. We saw the sale for the Kajito token also being done utilizing their platform. And then I think there were a couple additionals that took place after that as well. So Gens X in a blockchain agnostic accelerator gaining over, let's see here, in just the last 24 hours, 38%. In terms of the last 7 days, 50%. In the last 30 days, 18%. We've got Hosky beginning to actually gain some value. Let me know what you guys think down below. Like, this does not make sense to me. Hosky, I think, is supposed to be pegged to zero. Somehow, Hosky has now gained over 33% in the last 30 days here. We've also got, let's see, the JPEG token, which is now kind of reversing against its previous trend, right? So it's kind of just selling off there. For anybody who's not aware, the JPEG.store platform is the biggest marketplace on Cardano, and they actually just released a brand new feature for rebates. So just like how rebates work in the traditional sense, if you hold a certain amount of the JPEG token, you can now actually receive the fees that would have been going to JPEG. So to simplify this, if I'm selling an NFT on JPEG, I have to pay JPEG a 2% fee. So because I'm listing it on their platform and I'm going to be selling it to a potential buyer, whenever somebody buys my NFT, I'm paying 2% and that goes over to JPEG, and then I receive the rest of the ADA. What they're doing now though is saying, hey, if you hold the JPEG token, right, and you hold a certain amount, that will put you in a specific tier. Depending on how much of the token that you hold, you're actually going to get some of that 2% fee returned back over to you. And so in my last video, I highlighted the fact that somebody had actually sold a World Mobile Earth Node NFT for, I believe, 80,000 or so ADA. And so if you're making a huge sale like that, right, 2% does actually begin to add up. And so in that particular example, that person that sold the NFT, the EarthNode NFT, they had a rebate back of 640 ADA. So they were holding the JPEG token. And because they're holding the JPEG token, they were able to get some of that 2% fee given back over to them. So really interesting feature there. Again, the ecosystem is maturing, and these are the kind of updates that I personally love to see, right? Teams really beginning to think about how to provide additional utility outside of just the regular old-fashioned staking that a lot of teams have currently provided. So this, I think, is a really good incentive in terms of holding the JPEG token, again, when you're able to get those rebates back. So I want to quickly highlight that there as well. Let's see here. We do have the Genius Yield token gaining 18%. I just mentioned that their testnet was just released, and this is now for the for the public. So for the first month or so that the testnet was released, it was only for their OGs if you held one of their NFTs. But now it is open to the general public. So for anybody who wants to go ahead and check out this brand new and upcoming order book style decks, make sure to go ahead and check them out on Twitter. I did release a recent video as well with the link to their platform if you guys want to go ahead and check out their decks. Okay, this is a big one here. SNEC gaining 166%. Wow. And this is not just, like some of these other tokens. Look at the liquidity here. Let's see here, liquidity and volume. So the volume over the last 24 hours, over 7.3 million ADA. Let me just do a little bit of math here with ADA trading at 51 cents here. Let me pull up my calculator. So that is 7 million times the current price of ADA. That's $3.5 million being traded in terms of SNEC in just the last 24 hours alone. When I showed the active addresses there earlier in the Insights, Google Insights, there was that kind of W-shaped pattern, right, where we saw a huge uptick in terms of active addresses around June. This was when SNEC was pumping. This was when SNEC had just dropped, and this was just as they were gaining a ton of notoriety. So it's interesting to see that, we've seen Bonk and other tokens, for example, like Doge, beginning to turn around as well. And within Cardano specifically, it seems like the SNEC meme coin is actually gaining the majority of the volume and liquidity here with, again, 166% gains in the last 30 days. Let's see if there's any others that stand out here. We've got the Pudgy token. Shout out to Gas. Super good person here contributing to the space. Also a Genius Yield ambassador. We've got OPT from Option Flow with a little bit of liquidity coming in, and they are now over 100% or just about 100% in the last 30 days alone. So as you guys can see here, a lot of really solid projects building and a lot of really interesting price appreciation. Now, I recently did release a video talking about the potential next trends that I see coming into the space. And so there's one token that I want to highlight here that I definitely think will be set to take a ton of liquidity from this potential trend. And there's actually two of them. So I mentioned three trends. Well, actually, I think there's three trends, and I can definitely pick three tokens that are native to Cardano for these three specific trends. So trend number one that I mentioned was going to be gaming. This was a huge narrative back in 2021 when Facebook, aka Meta, had changed their name. We saw the Sandbox blowing up. We saw Decentraland blowing up. We saw Gala Games blowing up. All of these big platforms are really blowing up. Cornucopias, I think, is set to be that particular kind of project within Cardano. So Cornucopias just got listed on Ethereum. They started off on BNB, or the Binance Smart Chain. From there, they moved their token over into Cardano. And then they're now expanding or adding liquidity or trading pair on Uniswap. Uniswap is the largest or one of the first dexes or one of the biggest dexes in terms of Ethereum. And this, I think, has paid dividends for them. Now, if I jump into the actual charts here, let's jump into the Kopi token. Let's see if I can find it real quick. And then we're going to jump into the other two trends that I also see coming down the pipe. So let's see here. We've got the Kopi token. Let me pull this back up. Hopefully you guys can see my screen there. And what I want to show you guys is when the actual token was listed on Uniswap. So this is the 4-hourly chart. As you guys can see there, a huge spike up in volume at the very bottom here. And then we also have a huge spike in price. Now, this right here was right when they listed on Uniswap. Does that come to you as any sort of surprise? Definitely doesn't come as a surprise to me, especially with the narrative around gaming right now. There are a ton of gaming platforms that are built on Avalanche as well as Solana that are also seeing a ton of gains and a ton of fresh new liquidity coming into their platforms. One of them that I'm definitely looking at, outside of the Cardano ecosystem is going to be a game called Shrapnel, which aims to somewhat be like a Call of Duty, right? It's AAA, super quality. And the team is like backed by people that have, built Star Wars. I think one of them had dealt with like Madden and a lot of like big AAA games that we already play on regular consoles. But to just kind of bring this back home, the Cornucopias game, I think, is set to be one of those projects that really gets a lot of adoption within Cardano. Their community is stellar already as it stands. One of the biggest communities that I've seen and one of the most loyal. They've got over 40,000 members now within their Discord. And if you're not already aware, they have now opened up the testing for their alpha or for their early access version of the game for OGs, right? Which is kind of like a select group of people. They've also opened it up to mythic land holders. So if you hold one of their mythic NFTs, which are a little bit on the more expensive side, you can get early access if you have the correct specs for your PC. And then they've also opened it up just recently now to, I believe, rare land holders as well. So they're now kind of just getting this game out to anybody. If you guys have not already checked the Cornucopias game, I definitely recommend that you guys go ahead and do so. Another thing to really highlight here is the fact that there's been more influencers also talking about the Cornucopias game as well. So we've seen Crypto Stash, we've seen George from Cryptos R Us with over, I think, 600,000 subscribers on YouTube and over 250,000 followers on Twitter, also now beginning to look into platforms. And he also actually had a fully dedicated video surrounding Cornucopias. So I think all of that is really playing into the bullishness of Cornucopias, and they recently did set a new all-time high as well. So this really just goes to show that a lot of these projects, as you guys can see there, have now started to really open up, right, in terms of price action. For the longest, they were just kind of trending sideways, but when these moves come, they come and like they happen overnight. So again, this is the importance of beginning to take a look at projects that you're really interested in and beginning to build your allocations. Obviously, you want to have ADA, Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever else, but take a look at some of these smaller cap tokens, right? The ones that you really believe in for fundamentals, and then begin to accumulate because these pumps, happen overnight. As you guys can see here, we were trending downwards for, months on end, 5, 6, 7 months. And then we literally retraced, or not retraced, but made all-time highs in the matter of 2.5 weeks. So when the markets move, they move, and you don't have the opportunity to DCA over 2 weeks versus 6, 7, 8 months that we had when there was literally nobody looking into the space. So that is one platform that I want to highlight there. The next I want to highlight is going to be surrounding the AI narrative. So everybody knows about AI now, right? That's kind of been the talk of the town for the past, I would say, year. Midjourney's been, one of the bigger gainers. We've now seen, ChatGPT. We've got Bard. We've got Microsoft investing 10 billion into AI. And so I think that this particular narrative will roll directly back over into crypto. But when looking at this specifically with respect to Cardano, let's see here. If I jump back into Tap Tools, we do have an AI token that I think will be set to make some runs as well. So this is going to be the Singularity Net token. Now, within the last 24 hours, it is down slightly, which again, that is expected within crypto. But if we take a look at the bigger picture here, I do want to show you guys something really interesting. So you guys see the spike here, right? Take a guess at when this particular spike was. This was right after everybody was onboarded onto ChatGPT. So ChatGPT was released around November of 2022, and it took a couple of months for people to really come around and understand what ChatGPT was. Once they did, we saw the narrative surrounding crypto and AI beginning to push up as well. So this was around that same exact time, right? That Singularity Net was really taking a lot of the dominance in terms of price appreciation. I think specifically because of the narrative around AI. If you're not familiar with Singularity Net, generally speaking, they're going to be an ecosystem, right? Utilizing AI and language models in order to build an entire decentralized protocol ecosystem. So they've got a plenty or a plethora, I should say, of projects that run within the Singularity ecosystem, and they're all going to be AI driven or AI specific projects. One of them is going to be, I believe it's called Rejuve, which is going to be dealing with healthcare or with health. They've got Sophiaverse, they've got social media platforms, they've got DeFi platforms, and then they've also got a platform which is very similar to Project Catalyst, which I believe is called Deep Funding. So Deep Funding, again, is one of the protocols within the Singularity Net ecosystem, but that's a way to fund additional AI specific projects to deal within Singularity Net alone. So this, I think, is going to be the second narrative. Of course, you have seen this kind of cool off here recently, but I think that once AI projects start to get attention again, that Singularity Net will definitely be one of the big winners here. Now let's jump into the third narrative, and then I do want to jump into some comments here as those are still building up here. I definitely do appreciate you guys tuning in here. This really does mean a lot. So the very last narrative, I think, is going to be surrounding, I think here, let's see, storage. So we've got a platform within Cardano, and they migrated from Ethereum following the Nomad Bridge hack. So this is going to be Iagon. Let me pull this back up. All right. So Iagon, this I think is going to be one of them that's already poised to make some waves if it hasn't already, which as you guys can see, it has now more than 10x'd since coming over to Cardano. So as a little bit of backstory, Iagon was initially building on Cardano, or excuse me, on Ethereum, and they had a bridge and they had a little bit of liquidity coming into Cardano, not much at all. But we saw the Nomad bridge, which was hacked, I think, for like $20 million around 2022, around like September-ish. And when that hack happened, the Iagon team basically, rethought their entire game plan. What I like about this is that once this happened, even though it was an unfortunate event, they began to focus more around security. And so, given Cardano's security and robustness, Cardano was like an obvious choice for them, right? They were already going to be migrating some liquidity over into that. And so, they just made the full switch. So, they basically left Ethereum. They're now over into Cardano. And again, take a look at when this particular pump was. If you take a guess, this was right after they migrated over into Cardano. So, I mean, a lot of this is just having your ears to the ground and keeping up with the market. But this is one that has already run quite a bit. And I mean, look at it again, right? In the last 2 to 3 weeks, it's now made a new all-time high. So other platforms, for example, like Render, and I think there's also another one. Their name is escaping me right now, but I believe they're built on Ethereum. They're also dealing with storage, right? Arweave, that's the one, Arweave. They're, I think, going to be a key opportunity when it comes to this next bull market in the narratives. Now, I do also think that within the infrastructure realm, just generally speaking, that we do have a lot of other solid platforms, which World Mobile is definitely one that I'm keeping an eye out on. So World Mobile is one that I've been covering a little bit more often lately. I've had the pleasure of sitting down with Mickey Watkins, their founder, multiple times, and actually have a video that'll be coming out about World Mobile really, really soon. Now, World Mobile, I think for me, has already shown that they can deliver in that what they're doing is different than a lot of other crypto projects. 80 to 90% of crypto projects are, either dealing with DEXs, oracles, and DeFi, right? Which again, we've all come to know and love, or gaming, which I think that, there will be winners within those spaces. When we take a look at infrastructure, right? I think that there aren't many other platforms doing what World Mobile is doing. Now, one competitor is going to be Helium, and their particular platform has actually done quite a really good job in terms of price appreciation as of late. Now, I don't necessarily focus on that particular platform, but I really do understand World Mobile very well. World Mobile now has deployed over 1,000 air nodes, not only in Zanzibar, where they kicked off their mission, but also within Pakistan. We've also seen their daily active users crossing, an all-time high of over 50,000 users in a 24-hour period. I think utilizing somewhere around 5 to 6 gigs of data in a 24-hour period. So this team is doing a good job. What's interesting is that within Pakistan, the World Mobile team isn't actually doing all the heavy lifting like they did in Zanzibar. So what they've done is they've kind of gathered some partners, and those partners are the ones actually getting out there with the boots on the ground and actually setting up these air nodes. What's also interesting is that the amount of air nodes in Pakistan, which they just started deploying there after Zanzibar, has now surpassed the amount of air nodes deployed in Zanzibar. So Pakistan, even though they rolled out their second, the speed at which they're rolling out is actually faster than the rollout that we're seeing in Zanzibar. Now, last but not least, they're aiming to target the United States next, right? So we have Operation Air Node for anybody who wants to be an infrastructure provider, who wants to run an air node in order to earn revenue. That's going to be coming very soon. They've, I think, highlighted 4 separate states where you can begin to purchase air nodes. But moving forward, right? This team continues to expand, and I think that they've already shown us that they can get something that is working. They're not a project that's saying, "Hey, invest in our token for potential upside or something that's coming down the pipes." Like they've already got this model working. It's just a matter of time and just expanding it out into other countries and other platforms in order to gain that full adoption that they're looking for. So another project there that I'm really looking forward to in terms of just accumulating a little bit more in, again, not financial advice, but definitely make sure to go ahead and check out these projects if anything that I'm chatting about interests you or just kind of piques your interest. Let's jump into the comments here. Just a lot really coming in. All right, so we've got Vidimon. Isn't Kopi and PBX to be listed on Coinbase sometime next year? I personally have not heard that. I think that would be huge in terms of adoption. What we normally see is that any tokens listed on platforms like Coinbase, right, just immediately pump because of just the amount of visibility, right, that the tokens get by being listed on a platform as easy to access as Coinbase. I mean, when you look at people that are not looking to dive all the way into crypto, they have their Coinbase wallet and they just keep their assets there, right? So when you're bringing Cardano native tokens to some of these platforms with millions of users, it's not surprising that they're going to pump. Now, Parabis, I think, does have a pretty big listing on the way. They haven't mentioned with who, but they did mention that it's going to be like some sort of a tier 1 exchange listing. They're also going to be aiming to target institutions. So I think that would really be helpful to them if they're able to go ahead and get some sort of listing on Coinbase or Binance. All right. Let's see here. We do have somebody getting burned here. This is Devin Shrine. Got burned almost 5K ADA from bank. Never again. I mean, this is it, right? And like, this is why I'm giving you guys here like just the alpha, but telling you guys you have to do your own research. I know that back when all the meme coins are pumping, we had like the chicken coin. I can't really say the name here on the channel. It's not family friendly. We had SNEC and a lot of other tokens kind of looking to ride off of the wave in the initial impact that SNEC had. And yeah, I mean, that's the unfortunate downside of things is that you can lose money with this guy. So do be careful, especially jumping into, meme coins or self-proclaimed meme coins, because they're telling you up front, like, we're not here to give you any extra utility, right? Versus a project that does have utility, that does have a founding team that, has been building here in this space for months. So definitely do be careful there. And I am starting to hear about that, Devin Shrine. We got Beamer House. Feels like Dapp Central University. I'm trying, man. I'm trying. If you guys definitely do enjoy it, again, that thumbs up makes a big difference. I definitely do appreciate you guys tuning in and just listening in today, man. All right. World Mobile. So Lord here highlighting World Mobile as well. World Mobile is a growing giant. Minutes Network already onboarded for the ecosystem. Love growth. Yeah, I mean, I didn't even realize that Mickey had a brother and that they were actually working together. That's what really kind of was eye-opening to me, right? I've met Mickey on multiple occasions, most recently in Dubai, but I hadn't met Josh, his brother. Unfortunately, Josh did recently leave, for anybody who's not aware, to go start on his own venture surrounding or called Minutes Network. But they're not going to be a competitor to World Mobile. They're actually going to be a partner to World Mobile. So they do forced termination, which is a feature that the World Mobile team could actually begin to integrate and utilize as well. But they're basically focusing on call routing, not necessarily building out their own decentralized telecommunications network like World Mobile currently is. All right, let's see here. We've got Paul in the house. Smash the likes for Fareed and the ADA pump. Yeah, smash it for the ADA pump. Let's actually check back in on that real quick. Wow, it is still continuing to pump. So ADA, I don't know how this is just happening. Like, this is just parabolic. Like, this is the definition of parabolic here. So ADA is now at 53 cents. If I jump into the hourly here, you guys take a look at these candles. It's crazy. If I zoom in even further on the 5-minute, if I just back out a little bit there, take a look at that parabolic run, man. I mean, this is what we're in the crypto for, right? The gains, the tech, and the community. And we're all finally seeing this starting to play out here, specifically within Cardano. We've had the community all along. I think we've been super strong. We've had the tech. No doubts about that. If you guys watch my channel, Cardano with Paul or even Pete or Josh from Lake Game Crypto, you would definitely have seen, us talking about the tech. But we're now starting to see the price, which I personally believe is a lagging indicator, right? Beginning to reflect everything that we have going on here in the ecosystem. Again, 17%, nothing else remotely close to the gains that we've seen so far within Cardano today. Paul, thank you again for tuning in. I definitely do appreciate that. Shout out to my fellow content creators. All right. Let's see here. We've got Glavkos. Hey, Fareed, just wanted to know if you have any news from the Axo team in relation to their token launch. We do not, or at least I do not. I'm interested to maybe see if anybody else in the chat does. I did speak with Yarrick and Max Power at the summit in Dubai. And this team here, I think, has done a really good job of never sharing launch dates or just dates in general, right? So even leading up into the testnet, they didn't release any dates. After releasing the testnet, they haven't mentioned anything for the mainnet. And then in terms of their token launch, nothing yet either. Now, the vaults for their tokens have officially closed. So if you participated in the IPO and you did not claim their tokens, right, for the IPO after doing your KYC, unfortunately, that opportunity has now ended. So for anybody who did participate and did claim, congrats to you. If you did not, unfortunate news there. But Glavkos, I do not have any information surrounding the actual token launch, but I definitely think that, when it's ready, the team will make pretty big waves, just like they did with the testnet release. All right, 5 more with 58 spectators. We've now got 67 viewers. Really interesting here to see, just the channel growing here again. I definitely do appreciate all of you tuning in here and just providing, your feedback and engaging here within the chat. We've got another question coming in from Devin Shrine. And you guys, I will be closing down the stream in just a couple of minutes. So if you guys have any last minute questions, go ahead and just leave them down below. We've been going for a little bit over or close to about an hour now. So I'm going to go ahead and just wrap up here. I want to just kind of jump in here and just chat a little bit about the pump and then everything else going on here. So Fareed, any time frame surrounding the Gen's official launch? I'm not sure that I can say too much, but let me just say extremely, extremely soon. So this team took a long time to get everything out in the testnet, and it's basically ready to go. Again, I don't want to say anything out of turn here. I'm going to let the team break it, but I can definitely say that you may have a present here for the holiday season. So read between the lines there, Devin Shrine. Do with that what you will. I think the Axo team will launch this month. So coming in from Dreamois, thank you for the alpha there. We've got Beamer House again. Share this video. I definitely do appreciate that very, very much. We've got David with a proposal for Project Catalyst. David, if you guys have not already checked out David's video on my channel, David's building an indie game. It's a motorcycle management racing game. So for anybody who's interested in that, definitely make sure to check out his proposal. And he's very active within the European Cardano community as well. He's been a huge supporter here on my channel since day one. So this is the least I can do is go ahead and, share his proposal and get the information out there to help him out as well. I definitely do appreciate that, David. Thanks for tuning in. We got Pipo. 21% up. ADA near number one in the top 50 on CoinGecko today. Yeah, rightfully so. I mean, it's not a surprise to any of us that have been here within the space, right? Like, we believe in Cardano. Obviously, that's why we're here. And I think, again, we're just finally beginning to see the sentiment change surrounding what we've got here going in the ecosystem. We've got Demetrios tuning in. Thank you, Demetrios. Appreciate you always showing up here for the channel. We've got another comment here from Wamani Christopher. Sorry if I butchered that there, Christopher. What does the delay of launching USDM mean for the Cardano ecosystem from the 19th to unknown date? So realistically, right, Cardano has around $25 million in terms of TVL liquidity. I mentioned earlier, we've got Chain, which is now also bridging USDT, DAI, and USDC, I believe, into Cardano. The thing is they're just not getting the adoption that they deserve. So I think in terms of what this could potentially impact Cardano, I mean, it's not like we have billions of dollars in terms of stable coins. Anything that we can get would definitely help, right? So it is a setback in that sense. But I think the thing for me is, I'm trying to think of how to put this in the correct way. I think it's unfortunate, but it makes sense for them to do it as opposed to rushing to get something out, which doesn't necessarily have all of the backing. Now, I don't know exactly why, there's the delay. I know that they're doing some crowdfunding and that they're looking for community members to kind of take equity in the platform. Maybe if they're not getting a lot of, liquidity or people looking to buy into the actual Mehen protocol or the Mehen platform, that may be part of why we're getting the delay. But when I recently sat down with Matthew Plomin at Dubai, it sounded like in terms of like the regulation side of things that they were ready to go. So this appears to be a slightly different, or could potentially be, because I'm just speculating here, right? This appears to be a slightly different reasoning as to maybe why they're delaying, as opposed to what we saw with USDA, right? Or Anzins, which was supposed to be bringing a fiat-backed stablecoin, backed by Emergo. So what they said there was that, their regulations, or that the regulatory ecosystem just didn't seem to be right. So with Mehen, I don't think that regulations is the issue. I think that it might just be the fundraising, but I could be completely wrong here. Again, I'm just completely speculating right now, but I do want to just quickly take a shot to try to answer your answer there, Christopher. So thank you again for tuning in. We got Paul. Cheers for the stream. We need to jump on soon again. Yeah, Paul, let's do it, man. I mean, right now is an opportune time. There's a lot of interest in the space. And I even saw you recently did a market watch update as well. So we can definitely, link up, chat, and just kind of get on the same page surrounding what is going on. And I think that you always bring a really unique perspective in the sense that you're an OG in this space, right? So this, I think, is your second cycle. And I think, for you, it's probably a little bit easier to kind of identify things to watch out for. So I'd definitely love to have you on the channel, or me joining you on your channel in order to kind of chat and catch up. If you guys have not already checked out Paul's channel, definitely make sure to go ahead and do so. It's just like it says right there on his name, Cardano with Paul. He's been here in this space for quite a bit, highlighting a lot of the ecosystem news as well. Okay. Despina or Demetrios. Hey, Cardano with Paul. I just finished watching yours. There you go. This is what I love about the Cardano community, man. We've got James. What are your thoughts on TRTL? If I'm being honest, James, I have not heard of that before. I assume that stands for turtle, but I'm not necessarily sure what that is. So interesting there. I may have to look into that to see exactly what's up with that. Roki, this is definitely live stream season. Yeah. I mean, I love to push out the published and the pretty content, but sometimes you just got to get up and just hit record, man. And that's what this is. So, you guys are getting the unfiltered for read here, the buts, whatever the case is. And hopefully you guys, just enjoy just hanging out here and just, getting the uncut and the raw version of me here. All right, let's see. We're going to go ahead and be closing this out here. Again, I do appreciate you guys. We've got Sentoso. Thanks for the stream. You're completely welcome. We've got Cats asking me to look at C4. I'm not sure what C4 is. Maybe I have to look into that. And then we've got Roki also just chiming in here very quickly on the delay for USDM. So the delays is for a good reason. The initial institution got cold feet, and they're simply switching to another institution to help, not fundraising related. So thank you for the clarification there, Roki. I definitely do appreciate that. Again, I have not had the time to, read up on their delay announcement. And so maybe this was actually explained in the delay announcement and I just missed that. But that's just been like what's been going on here with the ecosystem, right? There's just so much content. I can't even cover it all. And even, between myself, Paul, Pete, Josh, and all these other content creators, I still think that there's opportunities that just aren't highlighted. So a lot really going on here. I'll do my best to try to follow up with some of these things and provide you guys some additional Cardano scoops once I make it back home and once I'm back in a familiar space. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's going to do it here for today's video or today's live stream. Again, I really wanted to just jump on here, talk about the Cardano price action. I know, again, that this channel doesn't always focus on price action, but I definitely think that it is a sentiment booster. We've seen, content consumption on YouTube skyrocketing. We've seen content consumption on X skyrocketing. If you're looking to contribute to the space as a creator, this is the opportune time. We're not even at, the parabolic stage, but there's so much people coming into the space. So if you guys want to begin to create content, you want to begin to build a brand, you want to just get your name out there, I think this is the perfect time, whether it's through Discord, Twitter, Telegram, all these platforms. There's really high interest into crypto and blockchain right now, which again, I think I am excited to see, number one, but then I'm also looking to, pump out more content myself in order to really take advantage of this bull market. It's not just for the appreciation of these crypto assets, but also for your personal brands if you're within that particular kind of space. Now, that said, I mean, this is really it. This is it. Again, wonderful day, wonderful start to the day for anybody who's within the United States. But I wanted to just quickly highlight that, talk about Cardano, talk about some of the potential narratives, and just talk about some of the highlights that we've got going on here. So you guys stay tuned. If you guys definitely appreciated this video, again, please smash that thumbs up. It really does make a huge difference. If it's your first time stopping by Dapp Central and you guys want more content like this and more live streams, make sure to go ahead and subscribe and also turn on those notifications bells. And last but not least, if you have any questions for me surrounding anything else, just surrounding Cardano and crypto in general, if you're watching this as a part of the replay, make sure to go ahead and leave a comment down below. That said, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video.